Hi everyone, my name is Hannah Pack. I was in the class of 2019 at Exeter, and I'm currently a first year at Harvard. So there are quite a number of anti-racist initiatives at Harvard among the student body, and they're led by clubs, governing organizations, and individual students looking to make a difference. I myself am a member of the Harvard Korean Association and the Half Asian People's Association. These student-led organizations as a whole have done a lot in the way of anti-racist work. Recently, the Harvard Korean Association co-signed a petition along with dozens of other cultural associations demanding that the school take action to address a deeply disturbing paper written by a professor which claimed that the comfort women from World War II were contractual employees. In addition, many organizations have responded to the recent shooting in Atlanta. The Undergraduate Council, which is like our student government, has pledged to match donations to the Stop Asian Hate Coalition fundraiser, and many cultural clubs have issued statements condemning the recent rise in AAPI hate. The Korean Association held a special meeting for its female-identifying members to have a space to grieve and support each other, and has provided a number of resources to lighten the emotional burden of all of its members. I hope to take a more active role in my organizations once our on-campus activities resume this fall, and I want to keep driving anti-racist initiatives that challenge both the failings of the Harvard institution and our society as a whole.
Hi everyone, my name is Bella Ito. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a senior at Amherst College, and I'm an Exeter alum, graduated in 2017. So I kind of got my my start in doing like diversity, equity, and inclusion work really through the athletic department. I am a member of the women's lacrosse team, and I'm the president of our Council of Student Athletes of Color. So I, kind of in that role, I was also selected this year to serve on our anti-racism student advisory group. And that group was really born out of kind of what happened this past summer with the protests, with all of, the horrific killings that we witnessed. The school, part of the response was to create this anti-racism, action plan, essentially. And our student group kind of is there to hold the school accountable, to voice other student issues or concerns. And so, we do a lot of meeting with, we meet with our college president every week, and then other administrators might come to our meetings, and we kind of, discuss the progress of the college, but we also do a lot of, just kind of relaying information back from our respective affinity groups and, discussing like what issues are really facing students. It's been a really rewarding experience over this past year. I think definitely very challenging work at times, and definitely it can be frustrating when you're advocating for things that really are, about making people feel safe and improving their quality of life, and sometimes being met with resistance on those things. But I think that that's sometimes the reality of this sort of work. You are met with resistance. You are, met with people who don't really understand where you're coming from or choose not to understand where you're coming from. But it is so important. It's literally life or death. So staying that course, it's been like a real practice in being stubborn and being stubborn in a really good way. And, I'm really honored to get to kind of do this work alongside other really passionate students. But yeah, it's definitely, challenging at times, but, just knowing that in some capacity, we're, hopefully contributing to the, increased quality of life really, for marginalized students at Amherst, has made it like all worth it for me.
Hello everybody, my name is Bees Denser. I graduated from Exeter in the class of 2020, and I currently attend Swarthmore College, where I am involved in anti-racist work surrounding environmental justice. A nearby town to Swarthmore called Chester County is a predominantly Black community where there are multiple large incinerators that burn trash, most notably medical and toxic waste, from the entire state of New Jersey, large parts of Pennsylvania, and New York City. And the fumes from those incinerators affect the environment, but also the air quality changes negatively affect the health of people of color in those communities. So I'm working with a team of environmental engineers to research alternatives to incinerators, but also to fight for policy change to regulate the amount of emissions that are coming out of those incinerators now and to prevent building new incinerators in communities of color in the future.
Hi, my name is Will Lee. I was Exeter class of 2015 and Harvard class of 2019, and currently I'm a high school science teacher near Oakland, California. And so I graduated about a year before the murder of George Floyd, and so I think the language around anti-racism wasn't as widespread as it is now. But in thinking about the work that I was focused on throughout college, I was definitely focused on the ideas of access and equity and justice. And so I spent a large amount of time with an after-school program working with students in Mission Hill, which is a neighborhood near Fenway Park that is predominantly lower income and people of color. And so working with those students, through no fault of their own, they were coming from a very different experience than my own. They weren't feeling safe in the classroom, weren't excited to be at school, weren't interested in the things they were learning about. And I think a large part of that is just the kinds of opportunities that they had access to. And so thinking about my own experiences at places like Exeter, at Harvard, I'd been, really pushed to explore my interests and to grow and to thrive in that sort of environment. And so it was really tough to kind of work with students who felt sort of the opposite about their own educational experiences. And so in my current work, I'm really focused on thinking about how can I increase access to those types of high-quality educational experiences to students who may have historically been left behind. And so when I think about dismantling white supremacy and anti-racism, I think you can do it in a large or in a variety of different ways. You can do it through activism, you can do it through politics, and I've just chosen to do it through education.
Hi Exeter students, my name is Kelsey Deedles and I'm currently a senior at Tufts University in Boston studying biomedical engineering. So most of my anti-racism education at Tufts has come from a job that I work at and different seminars that different departments have hosted. So I work at the Department of Occupational Therapy at Tufts and have for about 2 years. So in December they started their diversity, equity, inclusion and racial justice committee. And so I've assisted them in tracking actions that their professors have taken in their courses. So these kind of range from revising curriculum in their courses to developing new capstone projects around underserved populations to increasing their recruitment of people of color, which it's very low in the department. And so seminars that Tufts has offered and I've attended have been hosted by different schools like the Tufts School of Medicine, as well as the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences. And those focus mainly on the healthcare fields, addressing racism in the healthcare fields. And the School of Engineering has also hosted virtual community gatherings and some speakers this semester.
Hi everyone, my name is Alicia Simmons. I am class of 2020. I use they, them pronouns, and I currently attend Wesleyan University. And I'm on campus, I'm in my dorm room, I've been here the entire school year. I'm also part of an abolitionist group called Towards Abolition, where we learn, we educate, we work on action items in terms of how to analyze the role of public safety, which is our campus police force. Well, they're not called a police force, but they are a police force, and how it oppresses students and also the broader Middletown community. Additionally, there is Middletown Mutual Aid, which is an organization, Middletown-based, not Wesleyan-based, that basically is just meeting the needs of community members. And also there is a Middletown Community Fridge that where people donate food to the fridge, and it's free for anyone to take. And so, yeah, those are the things that I've personally been a part of. I'm sure is so much more that I just don't know yet.
So I'm on a couple different committees that all include anti-racism in their work, two of which are specifically about anti-racism on our campus and in our community as well. The first one is an elected position. It's the Equity and Inclusion and Anti-Racism Student Advisory Committee. So There are 8 of us, and we work with college president, trustees, deans, administrators, and the student government to make necessary changes around on campus surrounding equity, inclusion, and anti-racism. Right now, my focus and the focus of that group is on revisions to campus safety, and how we can limit interactions between the student body and campus safety, as those are quite often harmful, and potentially eliminating campus safety. We're not quite sure if that's the full step we're going to go yet or not. So that's one committee. Another one is focused in athletics, and my job right there is recruiting and retention. So how do we recruit and retain athletes who hold minority identities, and not just recruit, but how do we help them feel welcome and safe on campus? So that's not just BIPOC students, that is also LGBTQ folks as well. So that'd be like sort of like small groups, like mentor, student athlete, first year kind of groups that interact regularly, and also give student athletes a chance to see themselves or their identities reflected in roles that they may not often have the chance to see. So visiting nutritionists, sports psychologists, stuff like that. And yeah, that's the bulk of my focused anti-racism work right now.
Hi, Exonians. I hope you're all well. Over the past 7 months, I've been on a gap year. Dr. Ibram X. Kendi said that the heartbeat of racism is denial. With that spirit in mind, I've spent these 7 months reflecting on the ways that racism exists in my communities and what I can do to eradicate it. One example, I serve on the board of a local branch of the Seattle YMCA. Together with my fellow board members, I reread How to Be an Anti-Racist, and then we voted to establish a committee on equity and justice for our region. One of the other fantastic things about being on a gap year is that I've been able to spend some quality time with my family, and this means that we can have important conversations about how we can be actively anti-racist. My little sister is reading Stamped by Dr. Kendi, and this has definitely inspired some of those conversations around the dinner table. And with some friends, I recently joined a racial unity study group to read So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Oluo. Now, as I look ahead to college in a couple of months, I'm very interested in studying racism in medicine, both historical racism, which is what I wrote my 333 on, and the current present racism, which people of color experience today. For example, one of the research projects which I'm working on at Mass General Hospital is exploring whether neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's are underdiagnosed in populations of color. I'm very excited to see how I can take this research further in college. Take care, guys.